I'm so excited today. I'm going live with Alex from Infiniteus Juice. And those of you who come to Karyn's know I love Infiniteus Juice so much, I decided to never juice again myself and just carry his. That's not true. I do juice at home. But his juices are phenomenal. They're cold pressed, they're delicious. He does the most incredible combinations. He has a rock shop, and I don't know, it's just such a beautiful place. And I don't know, it's just so wonderful for me to see the young warriors that have come on the whole healing team. You guys know I started this about 45, 50 years ago, and to have the young warriors step up to the plate is so exciting and so necessary. So Alex, you were giving me some of your thoughts outside that were pretty phenomenal about what you're feeling, because we need some positive stuff right now, folks. We need a lot of positive stuff. So what were you telling me when we were speaking before?
I was talking about how I think that we're on the verge of another big wave in the holistic movement. And regardless of what that wave looks like, coming up to it, to me, looks like a lot of people making a decision about how they're going to care for themselves. And you kind of pioneered the raw food movement, like how long ago?
I learned it from Dr. Wigmore, though, who started the raw food movement. I was fortunate enough to be her student probably about 45 years ago, 45 years ago.
Yeah, before it was a thing.
Before you were born. Come on, before most of you were born.
Oh, for sure.
You weren't even thought of. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't. No, that's awesome. And to see that you, as a pioneer, kind of paved the way for people like me to be able to have some kind of successful approach because of everything that you did to educate people and the public on how to care for themselves. Like your book, teaching people about just the simplicity of soaking seeds and nuts to stimulate the life in them, to kind of assess your foods based on vitality rather than taste. That's stuff that my mom taught me and my brother and sister growing up. And
well, we were also taught a lot of the pyramid foods too, like the food groups and the 3 meals a day. I mean, we were brought up with so much misinformation, and it wasn't because they were stupid, bad people. There was just some kind of process in place that kind of turned the world around. Because I remember I remember my great grandmother and grandfather, they ate meat, but they used to go down the street. There was a place that had chicken sticking, and you go and you pick your chicken out, and they take the chicken and wring its neck. I know it sounds gross, but it was the best. It was better than now, the farms that they have them on. And defeather them, and then you go back and you get your chicken, and it was cooked fresh, right?
Yeah.
And then when my mother's era came along, she was one of the first pioneer women one of the working women. Guys, I'm 75 years old, so I'm going back a lot of years. And she was a working woman. She was a stenographer, but she was very bright too. And not to say stenographers aren't bright, but I mean, she was very, very smart. And so she was a single working mother. So we had frozen dinners. I mean, I grew up with frozen onions even, because it was a matter of convenience. And so it wasn't, I don't think people just they didn't do it on purpose. I think it's just the way the world turned, and we started looking for convenience with everything. We kind of got away from life itself and moved into little cages in the sky and stopped going to nature for our life, and it became the way of the world. And because humans are so symbiotically connected, one starts down that road, and it's so easy for everybody to kind of fall down and fall into the same hole and not realize that you're in a hole.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like seeing that hole. It was like seeing all the women in my family grow very large and die very young. And I thought, wow, is this what I've got in store for me? And so it started me thinking, and the rest is, I think we all intuitively know what's right. We've just forgotten.
Yeah,
and so the beauty of people like you and myself in the beginning is we're helping to reawaken that and making it more convenient, because people are literally dying for convenience, right?
Yeah, and in the nature of the system that we live in, it's not as functional to take a lot of time and put a lot of effort on something that we're trying to, in a world where we're trying to cut time, when fast food and convenience is like in that industry, that's the driver of business. It's how can we get it to the people the fastest. And unfortunately, all of the corners that get cut have to do with health, like the health of what we're putting in our body, because what do you do when you have to monetize this? You have to scale up. And when you scale up, you don't get a farmer taking care of a plot of land. You get machines processing things and them spraying fields with poisons that aren't good for us, but they let it slide because it means they can hit their this many metric tons of food and raise the GDP. I mean, it's really not a system that serves our bodies.
It's not a system that serves the planet
At all.
And that's
It's
what
really,
people aren't paying attention to. Where are you going to live? That's what I always say. If you
Yeah.
don't take care of your body, but I got to add, if you don't take care of the planet too, where are you going to live? I think they're going to go up to the moon with these billionaires. They're going to take them there with them. Who knows? I don't think it's a reality. And the other thing I like to ask people is, you're doing all this for convenience, but what are you doing with your extra time? You know, all this, you've got all this extra time that you don't have to, you don't even want to boil your water on the stove. You put it in a microwave, right? You radiate your water. So all the extra time, what are you doing with that extra time? Are you taking long walks in the park, right? Are you meditating? You know, are you reading good books? What are you doing with that time? Most of the people, no judgment, is they're watching kind of stupid TV and, you know, I don't know, doing stuff that isn't really serving them or their planet. So I love what you're saying about being a resurgence. And I think a lot of what's going on today is creating that resurgence. It's making people think a lot of it. You know, I'm not going to go into the whole COVID thing, but I kind of call this saying COVID because it made people go indoors and start to think a little bit, you know, shut up and think about what you're saying and doing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to get into the politics of it because it's not political to me, but I'm saying that people, hopefully, like you say, are thinking again.
Yeah, and like you said, tap into that intuition because we know it's right. It's when we can kind of go inside, slow down a little bit, and let our bodies assess what's right. And when we're doing that, not in a state of panic or kind of being flustered, which is kind of like all the ingredients of what's going on with the COVID thing is like the recipe for panic, anxiety, and being flustered. So to be able to have anchors and dots to connect to kind of like repaint that picture or kind of like give us kind of just like shining lights to see along the line to reawaken like what is known in us. Like I've seen it, and you've probably seen it too, like when a lot of businesses were having a really hard time, you know, not to say things were easy for us, like there was a lot of things we had to do to adapt, but business started going really well as far as like new customers, people coming in like, hey, what is it with, you know, these supplements you have? Like, I'm interested. I want to start taking care of my body.
Right,
you know,
it made people think about the other side of the coin. And here's the other part of that too that we're not realizing, because what I see, especially in where I live and just in general, how people are getting larger and larger and larger, but this largeness is covering up what they know. So it's blindsiding you, literally. You know, it's kind of like you fall into this rabbit hole. You get bigger and bigger. You eat more and more. You forget more, and you don't know more. But coming into our world, I think, does help people to wake up. And I'm just so excited about your shop and your store and what you're doing. And I love your food and the integrity with what you do things. This is what drew me to you and Ashton, is the integrity with what you do things. And that's what's missing so much in the business world today. Like you said, it's just make the money, the bottom line, blah, blah, blah. But you guys, you work with integrity, and that's why I wanted to be a part of what you're doing. That's why we sell your juices. That's why I'm in there every chance I can. That's why we send people over there, because of the integrity. And I think that when you come into this world in the right way and you start eating and taking care of yourself, I think it reawakens that in you. Do you know? I mean, we all have our moments that we aren't the best that we can be, you know?
For sure.
But I do, and certainly 75 years, I can attest to some stuff I did I wouldn't want, you know, monitored right now. But I think it reawakens that humanity in you. That's what's going on. It reawakens your humanity and our realization of the connection that we have. We really are symbiotically connected to each other in every single way.
For sure, all integrally connected, and a lot of that has to do with the invisible, what I call the invisible world. It kind of is the other half of what we do at Infiniteus. The way I see it is we have. Yeah, there you go. What is that?
You gotta tell me this was a gift in copper.
It looks like maybe obsidian.
Okay.
But I might have to hit it with a light in the back to see, because it looks like it could be blue, but I can't tell.
This was a gift, and I'm not into the stones and rocks as you are, although I wear enough of them. from gifts from people from me. But that's the other side of what you do. You tap into that world that we're not even taught to look at.
Yeah, it's like the food. And so this is all going to tie back into what you said about kind of reawakening and eating right, kind of putting us on the path, is because our body is the machine, but we have a program that we run on. So we have the hardware, and that's why we eat on a cellular level. You know, our blood has to be oxygenated. We want the right neurochemicals flowing, and we have a physical body that, even down to our neurological functions, it's hardware. But to tap into the software, you need the proper machinery to run on. And when you do, then you can use things in the geometric and color spectrum, you know, light and sound, to tap in and balance other parts of the body that are in that, what I call the invisible world, or the things that can be measured and maybe not by our five senses, or light and sound off of the spectrum, like below infrared, which red is the color of our root chakra, and we have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and at the top of our physical reality is violet, and outside of ultraviolet light, we need special equipment. So our hardware lets us pick up, we have the tools, the physical tools to pick up frequency to give us our reality. And when that is clean on a cellular level, we can use, so kind of think of it as electromagnetic. So the hardware is like the antenna or the satellite, say. That's the hardware. That's the thing. You can move it around, you can clean it off, you know, you can, you know, it's a functional material that moves information in the invisible world.
Now, let me ask you about this. I'm just, because because I have a picture of myself, I've actually seen a camera, though, that can measure these lights.
Kirlian photography.
Kirlian. I have pictures of myself with my lights over, and
Yeah.
and people around me have thought I'm insane, but you know what? For years, I've believed in this. I mean, when you come to my home, you'll see crystals everywhere. I used to go crystal shopping in Arkansas with Victor. I used to go to the caves and pick them up. So I have some fabulous stuff at my house.
Cool.
But what you have at your house, and I'm loving this explanation because I've never known really much about it. I'm not a scientific person. I just collected and got it, and I wear and I do, and I don't know what I'm doing, but I feel balanced with them. What can I tell you? It helps me feel balanced, I'll put it that way.
For sure. And that's what we're going for, is a physiological change. Like when people come and shop in the crystal shop and they're like, hey, what stones help with courage? I try not to assign what I know to be true, because it's just like food. You know, there's general principles to follow, but we're not all going to respond the exact same.
And we
There's
don't
like
all
some
need the same
rules
thing at the same time, at the same way and place, right?
in the same amounts, exactly.
Right.
There's little minute differences where I can say generally, for example, rose quartz is good for love or compassion. But what I try to explain to people is why. It's because it's pink, and that frequency of pink, the bandwidth, the height of that sine wave is the wave that is going to calibrate our heart chakras. So that's why.
So then you make that heart connection.
For
and
sure.
Do you sleep? Because I used to sleep with one by my bed, by my pillow.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
I mean, I still do.
Yeah, it's a good idea. And it's kind of like the tuning fork experiment also, because like stimulates like. Like attracts like, but like also stimulates like. So if I had a tuning fork and you had the same one tuned to the exact same frequency, I could use a rubber mallet and strike mine. And if you were just holding yours, if they were tuned to the same frequency, just the oscillation of my tuning fork would stimulate yours if they were in close enough proximity. So if a stone that's purple, and we know that the top part of our spectrum, because we're no exception to the way the universe organizes itself. So just like in sound, we have do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do again, which starts the next octave. We have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and then outside of that are colors that our eyes, with the hardware that our eyes have, our ocular nerves and our cones and rods in our eyes can only pick up a certain bandwidth of colors in a certain spectrum. So when we're working with waves and oscillation, and I have something that's purple and it's actually resonating and it's oscillating, or the color, the light that it's sending off of itself is a certain bandwidth that's gonna stimulate, just like a tuning fork, something in close proximity that's tuned to the same pitch,
Wow.
like my crown chakra. Now you can understand from a scientific physics perspective why color of a stone can help you assess it.
Well, I don't think it's going to take more from me for scientific to understand. It's actually brilliant what you're saying. Do you teach classes at your place in this? So if we wanted to get more in depth with it or know more about it?
Yes. we will be. No, we haven't been.
Because this is
yeah.
brilliant, and it's just so much information. And me, I like to tell people right off, I'm not a scientist. I don't know. I can't give you the science of anything. I just intuitively do it, you know. But I think this is so interesting. And would you give us some classes so that we can take notes when you're giving us all this great information to refer back to? Because my brain just went blank bubble halfway through it. I'm sorry, because it was so brilliant.
I'll make some videos. I like to talk about the physics and the science because it's a language that we can all kind of get behind, and
there's so many people that you're going to get that I wouldn't get in my world with what you're saying, and that's why we need this information, but we need to be able to take notes.
For sure, and I can do diagrams too, so you don't have to try and count.
Why don't we get you to come here and do a class for us? I have the classroom there. Why don't we do a class? There you go. See, folks, see how it all works out? He's going to come and give us a class in gemstones, okay?
Awesome.
And then he'll give us a coupon to go to his place and go get the gemstones that we feel we need from the class, right?
Yeah, we can do that. You know what would be great? I don't know if it's going to be for this time, but maybe when we can line everything up, let's do a class. Let's color match crystals in food, and let's use Kirlian photography. Let's take pictures of
I just got goosebumps.
Cut in half and see how vibrant it is. Let's take people that show up to the event and take a photo of them, and then let them sit with a crystal and eat some of your food. That really raises their elevates their frequency, and take another photo and see the before and after.
See what happens, folks, when you just sit down with a genius and you get the right things going. Yes, you are. You're giving. Do we have any questions, by the way? As long as we're doing live, do we have any people that have any questions of Alex or myself?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Well, because he's explaining it all so well, I understand. Anyway.
Let us know if you have questions. We'll try to answer them. So I think that would be awesome. It would kind of quantify for people, so you can say like, oh yeah, I feel better, but we want some science where we can all measure like in the outside world, because when it's a feeling in our body and we want to report to somebody, like all we have now are testimonials, right? Like for crystals, somebody can say, oh, black tourmaline is a really good travel stone. It takes negativity away. And then I can hear a bunch of stories of people that kind of, support that idea. But when you can take a picture of someone's aura.
I have my picture. I'm going to bring it in for the next time. I have a couple of pictures of myself in my aura. I got white over the top of it.
Awesome, because you're an angel.
He said it. I didn't.
We have a question.
Oh, yes.
Infiniteus ship juices.
We're working on that. We do our best to be firm with glass bottles because we don't want to just kind of go through a lot of plastic. So we're working on figuring out a way to do that where it won't be so heavy and expensive to ship, as well as keeping it cool enough for long enough without the cost of the next day.
How about those?
We're trying.
What about those BP? What are those bottles? That better stuff that they can recycle.
Yeah,
I think we're doing our Irish moss
products.
Yeah, those eco products. Maybe you could.
The plant-based plastics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we would look into. I'm not gonna say I have everything ironed out.
We're working on it. He's working on it. Look, I've already become a part of his business. He's working on it. I have enough to do myself. Okay.
Anyway. And that's why I'm still working on it, because we have a lot to do.
People don't understand when you have a brick and mortar place, especially a lot of the people out there in cyber world, they don't understand the dedication and work that we have to put to when you have a brick and mortar place, because it's not only dealing with people in the process of changing and learning that can be a little high maintenance sometimes, you can be. I was on my way, but you also have to deal with the city and the all the different politics involved. So it's quite a lot of pressure. So I really admire you, especially at your young age, for digging in and doing this, because it's a lot easier just to do stuff online. But when you have brick and mortar, it takes some extra
Thank you.
Thanks
Extra for seeing us. Yeah, because it is tough. It doesn't stop. And thank you, by the way. Like, we're always really honored and feel really supported when people that aren't in our city want us to ship. So we're trying to cover all those bases. We just have to prioritize with stuff.
Keeping the doors open.
Because, literally keeping the doors doors open. But yeah, we are going to do our best to be able to serve everywhere, and it's awesome. But yeah, brick and mortar is
Well, I know
tough,
you
and
just got a new juicer. Aren't you getting a new press? I know if you get by their store, you'll see they have this fabulous cold press juicer.
it's huge. Yeah.
It's huge.
We're trying to get a bigger one.
That's what I heard. I think Justin was saying you're getting a bigger one, but they have this huge cold press juicer, which is one of the reasons I started getting their juices also, because I know the integrity and it's a lot less work for me, and it's just easier. But I know that you're organic, you use the best ingredients. So if you're in the Chicago area, please, please, please go by their space. They'll put your address down along the bottom of all this so people
Yeah,
can find
and
you.
we're right around the corner from Karyn's.
Yeah, okay,
So you can come get a sauna or
Oxygen,
ozone
yes,
bath or
ozone, infrared
oxygen and
saunas.
walk around the corner.
We
get
take
the
care
juice.
of that other part of you too over here at Karyn Spa. So we're doing a lot of stuff together. It's very exciting. So you want to come to this part of town to take yourself in another direction with your healing, right? It
Yeah,
works so
the
well.
upward direction.
In the upward
the
direction.
elevated direction.
Right, because there's a negative gravitational pull to go in the other one. It's so easy to fall into it, and you're not a bad person or a stupid person. There's just a pull to go in the other direction. So anywhere, anytime that you can find a space to learn, change, grow, transform, you need to jump into. That's what I've done for the past 50 years. I mean, I've never stopped going to lectures or talking to people or learning what's going on, because it's always a process that we can continue to grow in. You never. I always say I don't want to learn it all, because then it's time to go. Oh, right. I don't want to learn it all. It's time to go. I'm supposed to be in this camera, not this one.
We're all over the place.
Right.
Interdimensional.
So I don't need to be perfect. I'll keep getting the lessons so that I can keep moving, stay here for a little bit longer, a lot longer. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so one of the things that I'm just going to throw in, I'm only going to do a short commercial because I talked about you creating a juice for us, is I'm starting something called my Sugar Break. And I want people to jump on, and there'll be a lot more information. I'm not going to take up our time today on it. Check out some other YouTubes that'll be coming up. But Alex is going to create a juice for us too for the Sugar Break. So those of you in Chicago, lucky enough to be here, you'll be able to go to his space and get your Sugar Break juice. And you'll be able to come here and get your Sugar Break box, but we can ship it to you also. So stay tuned. A lot more information coming about that. So
Yeah, it's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And she has like a little packet so you can set your intentions, kind of follow along with your process, and it makes it really mindful and meaningful. So
Right.
people stay with their awareness on what they're doing. That's a huge part of having the body
You know,
respond.
People don't understand that you have to pay attention to your intention.
For
We all
sure.
say we want to do new stuff, or we're going to do this, and I can't tell you how many people, friends, family, clients, who the best of intention, but then life gets in the way and you forget.
Mm-hmm.
You forget what your intention was. So I've set up the Sugar Break. You're even going to get this little bracelet. Oop, I'm on my Sugar Break, to remind yourself that, so you can pay attention to your intention. So we'll probably put some information up about it afterwards if you guys are interested, or you can text me or email me or whatever, do out in that world to find out more about it.
We have a question from Ann Masters. She asks, as far as crystals go, I have a rather large diamond ring and it feels great to charge it in the sunlight. Is there anything to that?
Yeah, it feels right to charge it in the
It
sunlight.
feels great to charge it in the
Yeah,
sunlight.
certainly. That's one of the ways that, so just like everything else in the planet, solar energy and the way that we correspond to it brings a lot. It's responsible for life. And so for humans, it affects our cardiovascular system. For crystals, it helps recharge. And as far as it carrying light information, it can help kind of clear and recharge anything that's like stagnant or latent. So that's one of the best methods. Sorry, I don't know which camera. That's one of the best methods according to me personally.
And I'd listen to you.
I've been playing with crystals for a long time.
The other thing I used to do with mine was I would soak them in Himalayan salt water too.
Yeah,
I'd
and
put
that's
it-
another way. So there's different ways to cleanse and clean them, and there's different ways to recharge them. And some of them, from my perspective, kind of does both, because they're kind of like magnets. Like they kind of have their own charge. You don't need to like recharge them all the time. Sometimes I can see why, but I think Solar energy does both. Burying it in the ground does both.
Oh, burying it in the
Running
ground.
water, especially natural running water, does both, and all of that helps to move stagnant energy and to kind of neutralize anything that would get in the way from that connection. Because again, it's like radios and magnets. All of it has a charge, and to bring something that has like such life force energy into the equation to kind of calibrate it and allow it to do what it's supposed to do is a really good idea. So I follow your intuition. It's a good idea. Charging it in the sun.
And Roman Marcus asks, do crystals work with copper?
Copper is very conductive. I've heard even that silver is of a lunar or feminine or emotional correspondence, and gold is solar or masculine or intellectual or logical correspondence, and that copper is like the pineal gland that kind of
Wow.
marries the two. So that's something that I heard from somebody I consider to be a teacher, and
These gifts are, both of mine are wrapped in copper.
yeah, and that's why people do that. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of technology with copper that just has to do with copper generating a charge, tensor coils.
I drink my water out of copper cups too at home. I have.
Yeah, try throwing a magnet down a copper tube. It takes so long to get to the bottom. It has
Really?
properties. Yeah, it doesn't respond to magnets the same way. So copper and crystals together are good for sure. It does something.
I love it. I'm going to put my crystals in my copper cups.
Ashton?
I drink my water.
Ashton asks, what is Karyn's favorite crystal?
Oh, amethyst.
Why?
Probably, well, I have some huge, beautiful, because of the healing power, the healing properties I feel it comes from. It was also my mother's birthstone. But amethyst, I'm very drawn to amethyst. I have them here in the center. I have them in my house. My favorite, amethyst. Anybody want to send me amethyst? Well, this has been absolutely phenomenal. We got to do this more often.
Yeah, it's always fun.
And I think maybe we even need to do it in your shop so you can give like a little tour of the shop and show the people.
Yeah, we can do a live demo of juicing.
And
Show everybody how we do it. The difference
Yeah.
between cold press and why, there's
Right.
more integrity in that process.
And we
For
can
sure.
and we can show the crystal shop too, because it's really beautiful, the crystal shop. I love it in there.
Cool.
So I think our next one, let us know. We will let you know. Never mind. We'll let you know. And this has been so, I don't know, I feel like your family, and they have the most adorable baby, and your whole family is beautiful. And
We love you, Karyn.
And we got a little love fest going on here. So join our tribe in our love fest. It's all good. Come on down. And please join us again soon. And remember that if you don't take care of your body and your planet, where will you live? Thank you so much, Alex.
Love you, Karyn.
Love
Thank
you.
you so much.